When designing wide area networks, one of the main considerations is site types. How many different site types will we have? What type of technologies and access technologies will we use in order to deliver the connectivity to the site? And those are wide and varied. They could include MPLS L3 VPN, MPLS L2 VPN, point-to-point, pseudo-wires, VPLS, satellite broadband, microwave radio, internet-based and overlay-based. Trying to navigate all of these different technologies is difficult both from a technical and a commercial perspective, so it makes sense to limit the amount of site types which you have in your network and have a standardised deployment, design and rollout model. So this makes things easier to manage when we move to the operational running of the network. In this video, we're going to give a quick overview of one particular site type using two point-to-point circuits from a remote site into a data centre, but also calling out some of the wider things that we need to consider when we look at different site types. We hope you enjoy the video. Let's look at one of the many site types that are available in wide area network design. This particular site type is referred to as site type 7 in the course, and we will talk through the different components and some of the things that we need to consider. Some sites, or some businesses I should say, have maybe one or two different site types, but others might have 3, 4, 5 and even more depending on the complexity of the environment. The objective when we're defining site types is to really make the company have as little site types, really. That would be preferred, because the more site types you have, the more access technologies that you have, the more complexity you have in your environment, and the more providers that you have to manage, and all the routing and things that come along with it also cause more complexity and management overhead. So with site type 7, which we're looking at on the screen, let's just have a quick look at what we actually have in this environment. Call out a few things. So we have the existing legacy WAN and the sites which have not migrated to any kind of new environment. We also have some kind of new MPLS L3 VPN, but that could be L2 VPN, for example, or another access technology, or an overlay based network, or SD-WAN. But we're really just talking about the overall architectural overview at this point. These sites here are sites which have migrated potentially off the legacy WAN onto the new WAN, but we still, because we have sites on both environments, we still have to have a mechanism for these sites to communicate with each other, and that would typically be via a data center, or otherwise referred to as a network-to-network interconnect. We also have some things over the left-hand side of the diagram which I'll call out. So we have potentially remote IPsec VPN. They could be traditional static IPsec VPN. They could be a dynamic type of IPsec protected VPN, or they could be SSL VPN users or client-based IPsec VPN users. We have cloud proxies, which may be used for sites which break out directly to the internet. So instead of having a cloud proxy in your data center, you have some kind of provider with global presence that all of your sites can use, and have a global policy rather than configuring individual solutions in the data center. However, that said, you could potentially have a proxy server up here in your data center. That would mean that any sites which wanted to have cloud proxy based services like web filtering, URL filtering, things like that, they would need to go via your data center, whereas with a cloud proxy, you're basically going via someone else's data center, utilizing their service, and then breaking out typically within country if the service provider has that service in your country. If they don't, then you may have to consider something in your own data center for compliance reasons or otherwise. We have data center interconnectivity to the internet, and in this particular scenario, if we focus on this site down at the bottom here, we have the local area network, we have 2 routers at this site, and their WAN connectivity, which is highlighted in orange, are point-to-point circuits into the data center. Those are the main observations when just looking at this diagram. This is before we even have a business challenge to solve, and this is the type of thing as a network architect and designer that you will have to be able to look at a diagram, understand it quickly, so when the customer starts relaying their requirements, you understand what they're looking for, the operation, the traffic flows. Things that we've not talked about here are where all of the applications are based. So are they based on the internet in public cloud? Are they based at other remote sites, or are they based in the data center? Bringing all of these things together are key in order to design a new network solution. And just to remind you, everybody, this is only for one site. You could potentially, or one site type, you could potentially have 7, 8, 9 site types, or you might have 3, but you still have to put the same level of thought into how the site operates from the local area network down here at the bottom, and how the traffic which communicates or initiates from the local area network, how it reaches all of the different parts of the network which we called out earlier in the video.